Alright. Hey everybody, after a week break, welcome back. Discussing Tabletop.
Hello.
So yes, last week I was off. I ended up going and doing some IRL stuff.
I had COVID.
I don't have many opportunities to do IRL stuff, and usually I plan it not around these things, but it was a New Year's party, New Year's Eve get-together with Tabletop friends, so I got to see
Nice.
Joe and Blaze and a bunch of people, and I'll talk about that, because we have 2 weeks of Tabletop to discuss, but
Hell yeah.
honestly, we should probably start with what is the first topic here. So, the important thing to start out with this discussion is, of course, a disclaimer. We don't know what actually Wizards is going to do. And this is a leak that has happened. A leak of the OGL, Open Game License 1.1. There's been a lot of discussion about what the leak is in relation to the old one, and a lot about what seems like is going on. Now, to say this is, we'll talk about all this because this seems to be a very legitimate leak. But
Yep.
Wizards still has time. They haven't released anything official. They can change this all they want. They could have a statement that they're no longer doing this, they're doing something else different. There's a lot of stuff that can happen because no actual physical documents have been released to the public yet. So, this is as it stands, a seemingly legitimate leak of the OGL 1.1, unless, some real evidence changes everybody's perception and the discussion around it, and we're gonna dive into it here a little bit. So, missed that, shit hit the fan.
Yes.
I guess that's the easiest way to say it.
This leak came out, and the community has been ablaze since.
Where to start? I think I will link the... Do I have the Gizmondo?
I can grab that article.
The Gizmondo article.
Yeah.
We'll start with that one. I think that's a good
I
place
will link
to
it in
start.
chat. I think I can post this one.
Now,
As the first link.
yeah, this is to a Gizmondo article. That was where they discussed the...
Yeah, this is the article that discusses the leak. This is where it all began.
And, Gizmondo, it's an actual, relatively,
Yes, they're a very up and up site.
Yes. So when you hear about that, you're expecting this is information about it. So OGL 1.1, released around 2000. It's been 22 years. This is the update. The thing about this is the 1.1 update, it in the wording of it, it nulls the original.
Yes, and something I'm gonna say about this is a separate discussion that's been happening between industry lawyers. Is no one knows if I'm gonna refer to Wizard of the Coast as WotC because it's a quicker way of saying it.
Yeah.
No one knows if WotC can actually nullify the original agreement.
Yeah.
Because there's no legal precedent.
I will also throw this out here. This is a lawyer that is in the kind of industry discussing some of the words and stuff here. They were more of the opinion that just from the wording, they might have a chance to. But again, it's a legal thing, so it would have to go to
a judge could just tell them no.
Yeah. But a judge could go every way. So, it's the idea that there is open game licenses, and then there are revocable and irrevocable license, and the discussion is whether or not it's a revocable or irrevocable license. That's a discussion, all that kind of stuff, And so, there's a lot of stuff to break down on the, I guess we can continue with the Gizmondo. The original OGL, 900 words approximately. The new one, 9,000 words.
Yes.
There's some good stuff in here. Okay, we'll start with the good stuff. To talk about that. Looks down on things like, it addresses things like blockchains and NFTs. It seems like Wizards taking a stance against that. WotC's taking good for that. It's against bigoted, exploitative, racist, homophobic, sexophobic, transphobic, all that kind of stuff. That seems a direct shot at new TSR.
Yeah.
These are good things to add into this. Okay, I'm not going to argue against that. Now, another thing is, I'm going to say the entire, like, defining what type of media fits under the open gaming license, I'm going to say I don't mind that if they want to just restrict it to D&D type stuff, you know? That's not something I'm against, because, like, there is expanded material, but I feel like people, like, taking the original, like, stuff from the OGL and writing a novel is kind of just weird. Make up your own goddamn world, you know? Stuff like that. Or like, your own video game or something. That's kind of weird. Some of the wording, though, is the OGL wasn't intended to fund major competitors and was intended to allow people to make wasn't intended to allow people to make D&D apps, videos, or anything other than printable materials, printed or printable materials for use while gaming. That's part of the state, like, in the document. Those words are. The printable part, okay. The major competitors, this is the big opinion I'm gonna put out about this one here. They put a lot of work in to make their own goddamn shit.
Yeah, I'll also put this out. WotC has no major competitor in terms of sheer size. Its closest is Paizo. Paizo is nowhere near the size to be considered a major competitor.
Mm-hmm. So, that is an important thing to think about. Yes, the OGL allowed Pathfinder 1e to come into existence.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, as someone that, when I took a step away and came back to Pathfinder 1e, even now I've looked back at 3.5. 3.5 and Pathfinder 1e are very different.
Yes. It's the case of, and why I don't actually think anything will happen to 1e, is they are different enough. The only similarities being D20 system and some monster names.
There's also probably some other stuff from, like, some of the basic ways they did things.
Some, like, feet were probably just direct pulled, right? But they're very different games.
Yeah. Like, they took a core and expanded upon it and edited a lot of stuff in various ways. So, Wizards hasn't said anything about this. I will let people know. Paizo, they basically said they're just going to wait and see. Same with Green Ronin Press, because Mutants and Masterminds uses the OGL. I didn't know that. It's like one of those things as Mutants and Masterminds, a game system that I thought was very different. I didn't know they started off with a basis of that.
Yeah.
So yes, this would kind of cancel it out. There is a lot more kind of going under the fan content policy. There's the commercialization kind of stuff. God. The royalty stuff. I think we talked about it last time.
Yes. Supposedly, these are the numbers now. I'm trying to find them in this article. I think they were
intermediate tier is 50,000, or initiate tier is 50,000. Intermediate tier is anywhere. It was below 50,000. Intermediate is in between, and experts at 750,000. But I will tell you this: there is a qualification that 750,000 can change if they give 30 days warning. So that means you could be in that intermediate tier and not have to worry about anything, and they could lower that number to anywhere down to that 50K.
Yep.
If they want to. With 30 days.
The apparent numbers, listed percentage for royalties, are 20 to 25%.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
And, again, I think the comment on the Kickstarter, I think we talked about it before, where, like, if your Kickstarter hits that mark, you might be fucked. And the thing is, you can't control a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And I did hear someone talking about it, that, like, this is gross profit before you pay everybody that you need to pay for doing the work you do. This is just the money you earn in general, not I have to pay my workers, I have to pay my artists, I have to pay my printers, I have to pay all these other people, I have to pay my taxes. This is the profit before then. So you could be earning $750,000 while your actual profit margin is tiny. Oh,
There
guess what? You need an
was
extra 25%.
there was a tweet from John Ritter, who is the founder of Kickstarter, or the director rather.
Yeah.
He managed to get the percentage lower, but we don't currently know what that percentage is.
The thing is, what was going on is it seems as though it's 20% if you go with Kickstarter, according to this, but it'd be higher if you go with another thing. So they basically... Kickstarter is where Wizards wants their people to go to.
Yes.
And it sounds like John Ritter at Kickstarter was more on the sides of the creators. Which, I mean, like, again, still corporate people, but the corporate person's like, yeah, we don't want to, like, cut off people. We want people to come to our system. We don't want to do stuff to fuck that up. We want to keep getting the income we're getting, you know. They're being smart about it in a corporate way. They're like, we're not going to burn all our bridges. Please don't do anything worse. Let's keep on good terms as best we can, you know. But, but yeah, it seems like Kickstarter's their go-to. You have to register your works with Wizards of the Coast, and I think the important thing to say is, Wizards gets the right to anything that you publish under the Open Gaming License to do with whatever they want, or to publish without your permission. So if you sign up for the Open Gaming License 1.1, you give up your rights to whatever you're publishing under it, technically.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
The best thing I can compare this to is when 4th edition came out, they tried to update the OGL before.
Mm-hmm.
It killed 4E for third-party cards before it even launched.
Also, according to the lawyer, my friend lawyer, at my friend lawyer, on Twitter if you want to check out this site, we've got more stuff on it. OGL 1.1 is technically not an open gaming license.
No, it is not.
It pretends to be because they're calling it OGL 1.1, but they're basically like saying, we're getting rid of the open gaming license and making this pretend one.
This is a commercial license.
Yeah. Which is something very different. But they're calling it an open gaming license because that sounds nicer than saying, we're no longer having that, we have a commercial license for everybody.
Yep.
Yeah. So, God.
One of the things, reading through more of the lawyer posts that I do notice is under the who does this affect? Virtual tabletops would be heavily affected by this because many of them do not have an agreement with WotC.
Yeah.
Only Roll20 and Fantasy Rounds does. So Foundry and Alchemy could not be used for 5e or whatever 1D and D is going to be.
Yeah, and again, it's the idea that your products that you're creating, you are giving them up to Wizards. So, like, think about it this way. If Paizo would agree to the 1.1, they basically say Wizards can use all of our Pathfinder stuff wherever they want, however they want, and they could also allow someone else to use it if they wanted to. All their control creatively would be gone. That's what this says. And that's just... I think that's the worst part of this entire thing, is that you know, you give Wizards the right to your work.
Yes. Again, there's the legal question of can they do this? No one knows.
Yeah.
This will be a massive court battle at this point. Because people have already signed an agreement. You can't update an agreement without consent. You can't revoke an agreement like that without anything court-related.
Yep. I like this thing of it's been 20 years why is Wizards talking about this now. It talks about their investor meeting, that we know what they talked about at the investor meeting, that D&D is popular, really fan. It's under-monetized.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it comes down to Wizards can do... WotC can do two things to get more revenue up from their nearly $1 billion revenue. One, writers, creatives, creators and offer more publications.
Yes.
Or 2, hey, we can just not do any work and have third-party creators pay us royalties.
Yep.
Work, steal money. Work,
Yes, and
steal money.
Comes pretty much after the new WotC president joined, who was part of Amazon's finance department
Ah,
and
God.
Microsoft Team Xbox.
Neither of these sound good places to have a person to be at.
No.
Yeah, so there are potential legal challenges to revoking the OGL 1.0A. So, yes. Effectively, this is saying it revokes it, but there are challenges, so there's things going on there we don't know. God. And if you don't God, there's just so much, like, I just get to the end of the legal thing where, like, it's just like, it just feels terrible, you know, just reading through both these
It's not
things.
good.
To comment that director of games clarifying the 5% decrease in royalties owed on campaign based on the OG. So I think Kickstarter normally gets a 5% anyway, and they're just like, we don't want an extra 5%. I think is what they said. I think that's a statement. Is they're keeping their they've got a payment. Kickstarter does. When you start a Kickstarter, you are aware that you have to pay a percentage. You know, that's why you plan your thing out with that percentage in mind. So they don't want extra, you know. But anyway, that's good for them.
Yeah, I will say this. I had talked about this briefly with Tantus before the show. I see 2 paths here that will happen. 1, long drawn-out legal battles that will just be expensive for everyone involved. 2, WotC just walks this back. And why I think they might walk this back is this is something that happens in the gaming industry a lot, is that something will get leaked, you'll have a very negative reaction, company will walk it back to save face and get a little bit of good PR. Because the consumers will feel like they won. So it is entirely possible we will see a statement, perhaps next week, from Wizards addressing this. Because this did leak on Thursday, which was kind of the end of the business week.
Now, there was one more piece of information that I got that I did want to bring in here, just because it was interesting I came across in some of my researches. This is one that unfortunately lends credence to this entire thing. So, discussion of the OGL has been banned on D&D's official Twitter. Not Twitter, official Discord.
Yeah.
So, you can't talk about the OGL.
There could be a number of reasons for that.
Now, they do put rules down. The leak is... violates the 2 sets of server rules. The leak is fake and discussed information is misinformation. The leak is legitimate and therefore is legitimately acquired, stuff that was put out there. So that's what they say. But it was interesting that, like, they were shutting down anything. Even, like, someone was trying to ask questions about, like, hey, do we know when we're going to get, like, the OGL 1.1 officially released? They were shutting that down even. They're like putting a tight lid on stuff.
Could have things to do with NDAs.
It could possibly. That's true.
It could be NDA related.
The NDA was supposed to have the ones that they were sending out were supposed to have expired like yesterday or something.
Yeah, so we might get more information on it soon.
It was like either yesterday or today. So those are supposed to be.
Yeah, so I imagine we'll get more information and more statements soon, but as of right now, we have the leak. Presumably, this could be the new OGL. It's not an OGL. It's business suicide. WotC will tank all of what remains of their good PR, which is very little.
I mean, they have, like... It's a thing we talked about, like, WotC has been just destroying their PR in both D&D and Magic of late,
Yep.
I think the only thing that's like kept them good is like I can pick up and say like, oh hey, fucking, what was I say? Dominaria Remastered. You know, it's like, it's an incredibly good set that's like better than the only other thing that was better this like last year that came out is fucking Kamigawa. You know, at the beginning of the year, and now they're putting out this, which is coming out like I think next weekend, and it's like insanely good. It's not too expensive, and as like I was seeing some people say, there's like reprints and stuff for everyone, and you can goddamn draft it. So this is like we have one good product, and they just fuck up Lush of the year, and it's sort of like they've been putting out decent products for D&D. Like they do that still, but like on this like other side, they're just fucking up stuff. In like the way they do things.
There has been a steady decline in quality of 5th edition content. Just my mind immediately goes to the Spelljammer books. They were terrible. They're universally accepted to just be bad.
Which just hurts me, because I loved Spelljammer and I was looking forward to that, and it's just...
I find it very difficult to get excited about anything new 5th edition these days. Mostly because WotC does shit like this constantly.
It's that thing that, like, of all the products they have listed for this year, because we did talk about that too, I don't think there's anything I'm really looking forward to. Like,
maybe, but that just, I don't run official settings. I run my own setting.
You know,
Planescape doesn't help me.
Planescape would be neat, but I feel like it's very easy to Spelljammer that.
Yeah. I think it's going to be bare, because even the Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft was incredibly bare bones.
Yeah.
I'll just say this: if this is the real OGL 1.1, I'm never buying a Blizzard's product again.
No, like
I'm just done.
It's just this like so hard to put anything behind them at that point in time. You know, it's. You couldn't learn from fucking 4th edition?
No. I have so many friends who are D&D content creators who make homebrew and shit. I cannot in good conscience support this kind of business decision.
Like, and again, like, I would hope that, like, either you are correct at, you know, this is just a scare tactic to make them look better.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they will walk this back, because when Bethesda... in this game industry does a lot of the shit like this, the video game industry, which is an industry which is news I am very active in. When Bethesda did paid mods, or tried to, they did something very similar to this and immediately walked it back when they got so much backlash their stocks tanked. Wizards and Hasbro are publicly traded companies. Their stocks are going to tank.
Yeah. I don't know what to do about this. It's like we've run into this point where like it feels like to not like ruin the mood with a little bit joke, the darkest timeline of D&D. Like and the problem is like, yes, we've got the newer president of Wizards who maybe he's they're pushing this, you know, I don't know, maybe it's Hasbro. Who knows where it's coming from? But like, there's just been so many terrible ideas, and a lot of it's just not great. You know, not great PR ever. You know. Hey, you know, it's like even the Dominaria Remastered, because I mentioned that it's a limited print run. It's not an unlimited print run, meaning it will stay at that low price it is for a little while, and then go up because it will sell out very quickly.
Yep.
And that's terrible. It's sort of like you made a really good product, put it out at a pretty reasonable price, and you're just going to fuck it by not printing a lot of it.
Yeah. I think what we are seeing is another bubble burst for Hasbro and Wizards.
I hope so.
Because Magic is going to burst. It's already showing signs of bursting. They're overprinting again. This is going to collapse D&D again.
they were at a good spot, and they are trying to like grow it more. That's the thing is, this is not an interest. This is not an industry like the video game industry.
No,
you're never going to get as many people there, and the people that are in the industry are spending the money that can spend their money. You know, you're asking if you ask us to spend more money, we usually can't.
No,
you know,
these books are already so expensive. These cards are already ridiculously overpriced.
They're a lot more than a video game. I gotta be honest. You know what I could buy for one of the books? A video game.
You know what I could get probably
like
more entertainment out of? Those video games I would buy.
Yeah. I could probably buy 3, honestly, games off of Steam that I would spend a lot of time and play a bunch of and have a lot more fun. As much as I like playing a role-playing game, honestly, maybe like if we wanted to play whatever new edition it is, one person could buy the book, and that's it. That's all we need to do. Or we'll just play something else. We'll play Pathfinder 2e. Archives of Nethys is really great for Archive 2. Or if the OGL doesn't like, if they can't get rid of the original OGL, just 1e, because again, like that's...
To address the concern of the OGL with 2e, 2e has the OGL solely as just they didn't want to make their own. That's why it's there.
Mm-hmm.
They could just make their own. 2e has nothing from D&D in it.
Yeah.
It's entirely original written rules.
So, you know.
So 2e won't go anywhere.
I mean, will affect...
1e, it'll affect 1e. Because 1e is very OGL heavy.
Yeah. And it is still something that they sell and it's out there.
Yeah, but Paizo doesn't print for 1e anymore, so we don't know how that could be affected. 1e certainly doesn't make that much money anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a position that we're in that like it will have an effect if they do this.
Yeah.
And it won't be a good effect.
No.
And it's going to ripple across all content creation. Because again, I'm going to say right now, I am not going to lie about this. If the OGL 1.1, the way they have it right now, is what they come out with, I will suggest to every content creator out there to not sign up for it.
Yeah, no. Do not sign this OGL.
This signs away your rights to your products. Now, I understand a lot of people already have that issue because they use the DM's Guild.
Mm-hmm.
But the DM's Guild, you're not usually trying to make a lot of money on it. It's usually a place to get like recognition and stuff. The stuff you put up there, you're risking it to gain recognition. If you are beyond the Dungeon Masters Guild, I think I got the right name right there.
DM's Guild, yeah. Dungeon Masters Guild.
You're like to anywhere else where you'd be publishing or producing stuff, you don't want to lose your stuff. You know, the DM's Guild already has that problem, but like again, like you don't need to use the DM's Guild. It's an option.
To put this into perspective, Critical Role, which is arguably the most well-known D&D thing at this point, everyone knows what Critical Role is. If you are online, you've seen it at least once. Matt Mercer made a whole world called Exandria. Wizards could just claim the entire thing as theirs and make things without his permission. That is the current way this document seems to be set up.
Yeah. Now, they did do a book, but they probably did it with Matt Mercer's permission and with...
Matt Mercer wrote the damn book.
Yeah. So, Matt Mercer got paid
to
do stuff for that book. The Critical Role book, Matt Mercer got the money there.
They also have books not published by Wizards for other parts of Exandria as well.
But, under this... Wizards could do whatever the fuck they wanted with it without paying anybody. Even though it's someone else's IP. They now own it.
Yes. Will they? I don't know. I don't know. Because this is market suicide.
It's... You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me as bad of a market suicide as... What was it? I don't know. Remember who did it? But was it? It was years ago in the YouTube sphere. Someone tried to copyright the concept of a React video.
Yes, I remember that, and it did not end well with them because I do not believe they exist anymore.
Yeah, it was just suicide in the market because they tried to take in all the money from other people, and granted, I don't think they had as much of a leg to stand on. Like, granted, D&D has a little bit of a leg to stand on, but they're trying to overstep their legs a lot. You know, they're trying to get rid of the old 1.1 or 1.0 OGL with this new 1.1, which isn't an OGL. I have to remember to keep. They call it.
Calling it. It is a commercial agreement.
Their new commercial agreement is, you know, they're trying to get rid of the OGL for a commercial agreement. God.
Like I said, if this is the actual thing, I think I'm done with Wizards. I don't think I can support any new editions of D&D. Between this and one D&D, I do not see a future for D&D.
Like, I understood 4th edition as it was, you know, and I didn't know much about the licensing agreement for 4th edition. And, you know, I think that's why, like, if they... I think, like, there are things they could do that would have made this less worse. Not saying they're going to revoke OGL 1.0, and just saying, like, if you want to do our new stuff, you have to follow this, would have been better. That would have been actual 4th edition, I think is how it was. It's like, 4th edition was, if you want to do stuff in 4th edition, you got to follow this new set of rules.
I think that might be the addendum they make, if they do want to keep all this revenue.
It's still going to kill them, though, is the problem.
It's still going to be bad, but for them, it won't be as bad. They'll still get what they want. Consumers will still feel like they won even though they didn't. It would be a pretty standard PR play in these industries, unfortunately.
But then, like, who's going to publish under 1 D&D then?
There will be people who will.
I guess people did publish under 4E. Some did.
People did publish under 4E. I wholeheartedly believe 1 D&D will be a failure.
I mean, like, it's sounding now on the commercial and technical side. It was like, not the commercial side and the PR side is becoming a failure. And already, I was worried about failure from the technical building side, how they've been showing things off and just not well.
I can see many parallels between this and 4th edition, and we all know how 4th edition ended up. I have not met any DM who's happy about any of this. I've met many people who are pretty upset about 1 D&D as a whole. I've not seen many positive things about it.
I think it's again, it's like this problem that I keep trying to compare it to 4th edition, but it's like so different and worse, because it's sort of like 4th edition, it was its own thing, and it failed because of a number of issues in it. But like when I remember trying it out and playing it, it wasn't bad. It wasn't
4th edition.
Go ahead.
4th edition didn't deserve to fail. This does for what they're doing.
Well, oh yeah. Like if I just this entire thing certainly brings it to the failure. But like on the technical side, I don't know what it is. It's
a mess.
It's a mess because they want a 3.5, but they also want a 4th edition, but they also want to be Pathfinder 2e, and it's just this quagmire of rules that don't feel like they fit together every time I hear about an update to them, and it just feels like it's breaking the system.
It doesn't feel good in my opinion. Whereas I can look back at 4th edition and say this worked in some ways. Yeah. It was an amazing combat game. It still is an amazing combat game. 1 D&D, I can't say it's a good role-playing game or a good combat game because of what they're showing off. Not a lot of it looks that fun.
guess the story is just going to continue to develop at this point in time. We're not really going to know where
We'll certainly talk about it again in the future.
Yeah. If we get, like, more information, or they actually release some information, or I guess the next time they release something on 1D&D, I would like to talk about it some more, because honestly, I want to know where this ends up, just to know my final decision on both sides.
I'll certainly say when OGL 1.1 actually comes out and the documents are readable, I will read all of it. I'll read the whole massive bullshit of legal garbage.
That's what it's going to be, unfortunately. So, make sure, check it out. Keep an eye out on these things.
Stay informed.
Definitely. Don't sign your way into a degree. You don't have to do a lot to do stuff under the OGL, the original one. You have to do a lot for this one.
Yes.
So be careful before you do.
Read every agreement you sign. Never agree to an NDA for this.
So, let's move on to some things. I forgot to put something on the docket, but it's not really big.
Happier, maybe.
Yeah. There was something that I forgot that I was going to talk about briefly, but I'll just say, hey, there's just some more errata on Talking Pathfinder 2e. Their cool rulebook got some errata. They're just, moving some things around.
I did see something related to kineticists for 2e. Apparently it's going to be the longest class they've ever written. Which sounds about right.
Kineticist was so goddamn complex. I'm hoping...
Apparently it's going to be the longest class for 2e. So.
I'm hoping it works better, because I vaguely understood how Kineticist works.
There's too much math for me.
It's like there's certain classes I don't understand still to this day. Some of the hybrid classes, are active. Like, I'm not great on archivist.
Arcanist? I understand Arcanist, but like...
I kind of do, but also don't.
Buccaneers has been going on for like well over a year at this point. I still have no fucking idea what a War Priest does.
The only thing I know a War Priest does is they can take a spell which could affect an ally or themselves, or like a group spell, like something like Bless, and cast it on themselves only as a swift action.
I see Cell do all these swift actions most episodes. I don't understand what the hell you're doing, buddy.
I gotta really dive deep into what a War Priest does.
Cool, I can understand. He's a fighter, he hits things. Jacob, easy enough. He's basically a wizard.
He is basically a wizard. Not a great wizard, but a wizard.
He's a transmuter, which is kind of one of the weirder wizards to play. It would have been better just playing a wizard, but Arcanist is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also don't know what Joe's class does in that fucking
He's
game.
a swashbuckler. He's basically melee.
It's like a rogue, but better, from what I understand.
He's basically what all it is. It's melee gunslinger. It's a gunslinger, except you can use it for melee. Yeah. Okay. So, just as a quick look up, there is a limit to the amount of stuff Cell can do, but it's equal to half his level plus wisdom modifier. He can swift things.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I still don't know anything that class does. I'll never play one.
Apparently, you've got fervors that you can either use to heal yourself or do other boosts and stuff.
I'd rather just play a cleric.
I mean, War Priest isn't bad. Just if you want to do this specific like buff cleric build, a War Priest might be better. That's the only thing I can say.
I think I just like cleric.
Honestly, I do too.
Classes.
Look, yeah, I've really only played one cleric in Pathfinder 1e, and it's memorable and it was stupid, but it was fun.
My Wrath of the Righteous character was a cleric to the one like super paladin lady.
Yeah, I played.
So when she showed up and screamed at the party, I didn't get yelled at.
Yeah,
I was doing a good job. I'm a cleric.
Yeah, it's like you, good job. The rest of you, thanks, boss. Look, I just will always remember Merfolk with Strongtail and the Travel Domain, and honestly, it was fun. I had a 30-foot land speed, and our dwarf had 20. So
Jesus.
it was silly. But the thing is, I was a buff cleric. I just cast a lot of buff spells on myself and murdered everything.
That's what I was. I just buffed. I buffed and I had a big hammer.
I think I used Divine Trident too, because it was hilarious, and also I was Merfolk, so it fit very well. Lightning Trident.
It's a very standard dwarf cleric.
Yeah, but they're fun. A cleric can be so fun too. I think that's why Blaze likes to play them occasionally. Anyway, let's talk about some other stuff here, like some things that are a little out here. Starting with a video game-based card game. It's not the one you're thinking of. It's Gears of War, the card game.
It's such a bizarre. Also, there's no fucking news on it. I love that part. It's just to sign up for a newsletter.
It's a link to sign up for their newsletter. They've just announced
coming soon. I mean, I don't hate it immediately. I mean, I love Gears of War. Like, mostly as a video game, because honestly, it's a very basic story. It's lizard people come from underground to attack surface. Here's your chainsaw gun. That's Gears of War. At least 1 through 3. I've not played 4 or 5.
I won't. I don't ask.
I don't have an Xbox, so I don't. I'm never gonna play them.
The thing is, it's either going to be 2-player or team-based, because it looks like there really are only 2 groups: the Coalition of Ordered Governments or the Locust Horde, and you can play as either, which is okay. You can be the lizard people, or you can be the chainsaw gunmen.
Well, they're like, I mean, I could see it being fun for a little bit. I don't understand the decision to make it a card game. Gears of War feels like it'd be more of a miniatures game.
I would agree on that one.
Or more in the vein of their Resident Evil games. Where you've got your 4 named characters. Spoilers, this is how Gears of War works. You have 4 named characters. They go on levels to kill things. They've already made 3 separate board games exactly with that concept. I mean, the Dark Souls board game might also be like that. I've never played the Dark Souls board game.
Yeah, no, I haven't played the Dark Souls.
I was gonna play it, and then someone explained it to me. I'm like, nah, that's too complicated.
That was one of those. There's plenty of games where I've said to myself, like, maybe, and I just haven't then, honestly.
Yeah, I don't immediately hate the idea of this, but it's just because I'm like so nostalgic for Gears of War, I think.
I was never in that kind of wheelhouse of things, so I can't say I'm for or against it.
Yeah, it's like Gears of War and Halo are like my 2 big nostalgia machines. And I played a lot of the multiplayer for these games, like ages ago, when the Xbox 360 was still kicking around. Which is like 10 years ago at this point, because time marches on.
God. What was it? There was something that someone mentioned. It was like 20 years ago or something, and I was like, God,
the Xbox. The Xbox is actually getting close to 20 years old, I think. The Xbox 360.
Jesus.
I think it came out in like 2005.
Yeah, no, there was something in like 2002 or like late 2002 that someone talked about like during December. I can't remember what it is now, but I was like, I'll remember at some point, But just hearing that, and I'm like, that's 20 years old? God.
Yeah.
That's forever ago. Oh, man. So, I mean, like, they've announced it. It's such a weird thing for a card game. We know nothing about it except for, like, you can find some pictures of what it's supposed to look like online. But
I've seen some of the pictures. The cards look cool. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
Cards do look pretty cool. Because I mean, it's got the locust symbol and the cog symbol. I don't know what the shield's supposed to be, but
there might be a third faction that they came up with or something from like one of the later games or something.
There is technically like a resistance group against the cog. Because spoilers for Gears of War, like 90% of humanity is dead because the planet got like mega lasered.
Yeah, so I mean, like, eh, keep an eye on it. Maybe we'll talk about it in the future when we know a lot more.
I feel like it's gonna be very similar to there's that Star Wars card game. That's also kind of a miniatures game. I think it's gonna be kind of similar to that.
So now from Kickstarter, of course. Oops, all dragons.
Dragons.
Dragons. Speaking of 5e stuff on Kickstarter.
Well, bad news for this guy.
I mean, like, at least he's not earning a lot.
He's getting it out early.
He's getting out early. This is before the new license. Anyway.
Before the new license, yeah.
It's funded. It's like 45 new dragons. It's a lot of weird-sounding dragons. And honestly, I'm kind of up for this, like, a weirdness here.
I do miss the weird dragons of older editions.
Mm-hmm. I see, like, Beelzebub, the Unscaled, Cannibal Dragon. A Midnight Dragon, Ninja Dragon, a Pirate
Dragon,
Robo Dragon 2.0.
Steamwork Dragon, that's pretty cool. Void Dragon, that's weird. Forest Dragon, Holy Dragon. Oh god, a Holy Dragon.
Oh god, yeah.
Smoke Dragon. Sky Dragons. I feel like all dragons are Sky Dragons.
You think so, but, you know, maybe they've got something unique about them. They got some stretch goals. They've gotten, like, the first one. They'll have some more if the goals get hit. But honestly, like, I feel like they're just like, cool, we funded ourselves. They've got 19 days to go. I mean, like...
more monsters when you just desperately need it, because as much as I liked Fizbin's Treasury of Dragons, it was weirdly lacking on the dragon part of the book's name. It didn't have kobolds in it either, for some reason.
Because they're supposed to be like dragon servants, I guess.
It's like Dragonlance, but I don't think technically doesn't have kobolds. They have something else.
So yeah, so they've got it's a source book for D&D 5e and Level Up Advanced 5th Edition, which I am not familiar with.
I do not know what Level Up Advanced 5th Edition.
It has a website. It's linked there. They've got more products. So apparently it's got to be something based on 5th Edition. That's its own thing, kind of, and, you know, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, you can get a PDF for 5e or for the Level Up system, or you can both of them, each for 13 or both of them for 20. You can get the soft cover too if you really want a book for 25. The PDF also included, and all of it for 40. Both soft covers for both books if you really want them. So not bad price levels. Again, funded. It's a cute little thing. $13 for PDF for, like, you know, 60-page source book of dragons and some weird stuff. You know, honestly, some of them are just so out there. It's just like that's what kind of interests me, you know.
Yeah.
Just like there's a ninja and a pirate dragon.
That's
like,
a little weird.
Are you born a pirate?
Granddad or something, right?
You know, it's like, are they born pirates and ninjas, or did they get, you know, like, you know, or are they just like aligned with pirates and ninjas all the time or something? You know, raised by them. What's going on with them here? I'm curious. Look, it's a cute little thing. I think it's nice.
It's pretty neat. I mean, more monsters are good.
Yeah. We can... I attracted both the dragon people.
Classic.
Of course. I do find that hilarious, and I am very entertained with that. I don't have a deeper discussion yet. Do we want to hit up our week in tabletop and then hit up the deeper discussion?
Yeah, we could do that first.
We'll do it in reverse order, just because then I can think about like what our topic is and cool down a little bit still from the... Yes.
Yeah, that whole discussion. That was half of the show.
God. So... Did you do anything either of the last Saturdays?
Saturdays?
No. I played a little bit of tabletop. I think we did a a card game, and High Noon Saloon, which is that.
Ooh, High Noon Saloon is pretty good.
I like that game, but it's such a tiny board in real life. Like, you know.
Yeah, it's really small in real life.
It's like so diminutive. I mean, like I lost. I figured I would, but it was fun.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's why it took late, because we did the maximum players for it.
That's a lot of time.
It turns out, when you have maximum players and 2 people that are just learning the game, that doesn't help too. 3 people that knew the game were able to go through it pretty easily, but like honestly, it was fun. What was the other card? Oh God, I remember the card game we played one round of. Because then also we just got pizza. Honestly, that was good.
Fair.
And hung out for a while. We played a card game. I can't remember the name of it, but what it was is like, it was it would give you something like what's a good example? Like it would be like, it would give you 2 things, and you'd have to give hints on those 2 things and have people combine them together. And it would be like a couple of words or a small phrase. So it could be more than 2 words, but it's at least 2 words. So it'd be like Super Mario World, and World Cup is the other one. And you want the person to say Super Mario World Cup.
Okay.
So you have to give hints.
Like that could be really fun.
It does require some brain work though, because you got to like give hints on the Super Mario World.
You gotta think.
Yeah, because the thing is also, whoever gets it right gets the point, and you're trying to get them right. So you're trying to be a little obvious, but not too obvious. You know. So it was an interesting game. I can't remember who won. It was interesting to try it out. It's not something I do very often. It was a nice party game.
Oh wait, I did do something one of those Saturdays.
Oh, you did? Awesome.
I ran the game of Everyone is John.
You did do that on the last weekend.
Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
If you don't know the game Everyone is John, it's a very simple little role-playing game. It usually takes about 2 hours, where you're all a voice inside of crazy dude's head, and you make him do stuff. I felt like, I don't personally do Christmas, but all of my friends do. So I wanted to put together a little, Christmassy adventure. Oh God, did it go real bad. Oh Christ. Some of the highlights. Eric killed Rudolph the reindeer. Just murdered him. And someone tried to shoot Santa with a gun. So, it got pretty derailed really fast. It's not the worst or weirdest game of Everyone is John that I've ever seen. I have seen one where someone basically, did a terrorism at the Vatican because they failed a roll. God. It gets really wild. It's a game where you just get to do a lot of terrible things.
I can't remember. Look, every time as soon as you said terrorism, I'm sorry, it just reminds me of another game I was in. Strangely enough, that's the weird thing though. No. Long story short, we were playing Aberrant, which was I don't know what system they use now, but the old system of Aberrant was basically World of Darkness superheroes. Okay,
yeah.
And we were playing, we were going on the idea of a little bit of, I guess, American gods. Gods exist, but they have powers based on worship. We're the old gods. The superheroes are the new gods, basically.
Okay.
And we were trying to make our comeback. And one of us was playing basically a demon, a biblical demon. And because Chris, who had still some powers because of, there's still some belief in demons and stuff too, unlike the rest of us who have been finding ways to have powers. And he's like, I got a great idea, because we want to announce ourselves to the world to get us attention in our existence. We're different from these guys. I'm going to go, we're not the Pope, one of the high cardinals, possess them, have them do something really horrible and get themselves killed or something,
Nice.
And just the idea went really weird, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like an idea that could ever go normal.
It did not, and I just will always remember that was something that was suggested to us, and we were like, I don't know if that's a great idea for announcing our presence to the world. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Anything on a Sunday? I don't think I did anything.
No, I didn't do anything on Sundays.
I had 2 Monday games. Did I? No, I had one. One got canceled. I had this week's. So we're doing more Traveler, and I think we got back on track on our main quest. There was a little bit of people trying to be like, there are weird spaceborne aliens that live on this space station that are like hive mind, and we could like learn about them and or like capture some for like research and like give to some people for some money and stuff. And I'm like, we should focus on our mission. But also then we learned that the easy way into where we have to go in is through their territory of the hive. Of course. You could go that's like a known route to what the key we're trying to get to. Like the explored route goes through there. So we arranged to have like a guide and like some speeder bikes for a portion of it, and we got some like, because there's not a lot of atmosphere in that area, some like suits and stuff so that we can actually go out in space. So we did a lot of prep work, and now we're ready to actually go after the key and maybe fight some alien bugs or avoid that. I don't know. I've got a laser sniper rifle, so I might be okay. I'm also got at least I think like 2 in gun for shooting it, so I'm pretty good at shooting it, honestly. It's a skill that I haven't been able to use, blasting people with a fucking laser sniper rifle, but I finally might be able to.
Fair enough.
I've been waiting for this moment. I'm ready. We keep going to places where I can't take my sniper rifle inside for some reason.
I mean, that's why, like, you just do what I did in the space game I'm in, where all of my weapons are my psionics and shit. A lot of people have been stabbed in the brain with a psychic sword.
See, I could have done that, or like, been something other than a human and have weird abilities. I just went generic human without psychic abilities because I didn't want to bother with all that
Psychics
stuff.
are kind of hard to use, yeah.
I was just like, you know what? I want something simple.
That's fair.
Anyway, so yeah, how did your Tuesday games go?
Oh, we're still on break.
Okay.
We are back this week.
Okay.
Well, next week, technically. The 10th.
Yeah. We had 2 weeks of Buccaneers.
Did have 2 weeks of Buccaneers.
The previous week was really good. I liked that a lot. This week was okay. I liked it still pretty. There were some issues towards the end. I feel like I was losing track of what was going on a little bit in my brain.
I don't remember what happened on the 28th for that session because basically immediately after is when the COVID hit.
That one was when you handed off the man that's not a dwarf that kind of looks like one. Convinced a man that totally these people were dead, and then also like transported them away. I think there was a few more things that were kind of done in the interim in that entire situation, but like a nice man was not executed. Instead, he lost his tongue and all but 2 fingers. They can call him Lobster Man now.
I think at least Yakul is kind of maybe learning that Misty is not a good person.
You gave him to a very evil and sadistic neutral evil man, you know?
I mean, honestly, Misty probably would have done worse to that guy.
He probably was also tortured first, to be honest. To get information out of him, just something that they could make. Like, he probably doesn't have a lot of information, but he might have a few things on the...
Yeah, because... Well, Misty is true neutral. She does lean towards neutral evil a little bit.
Yeah, understandable.
It's almost like she's from Chelix.
Yeah, it's almost like that's a bad place, and that there's a lot of evil people there. And then this week, you arrived at the Dagon's Jaws. You hilariously had some trouble making landfall. Honestly, I was impressed how bad he rolled every time.
It's hilarious because in universe, Revia did the thing that's like supposedly impossible 3 times because we wanted to fail, quote unquote, and land on the island, but no, we just kept shooting the gap.
Granted, smaller boat, easier to do, and like you learn that like a lot of the times the problem is like it's the larger ships hit aground a little bit, and then rather than just sinking, just taking some damage, they get ambushed by undead who live in those waters and hunt people apparently. So that's why it's more dangerous, because you learned, hey, it's not just all the horrible rocks, it's the horrible amounts of weird shape-changing undead that also live there.
Yes.
Also, like, Cell, what was like a 2, a 3, and a 4 or something?
Yes, Cell historically cannot roll sailing checks despite having a plus 30.
I just kept failing the DC by, like, not a lot. I think, like, it was like, I set a DC, and I'm like, how have you done this bad?
That sounds like to me, it sounds like probably a DC 35.
Yeah.
Which, it's not impossible, it's very difficult. Cell's highest roll was like a 33.
Like, even at your level, like, and you should have really high sailing, the DC 35 honestly should have been doable a lot, like, even if you didn't have someone like Cell, I don't know if because Cell's so high, I don't think anybody else took as much perception.
I have, like, a 10, and I could put it up to more if I wanted to.
Yeah. Like, theoretically more if you should have had it, but you didn't need it because of Cell.
Someone took, like, 2 skill focus feats for sailing. Not that it's helped, because Cell can't roll above a 3.
It was really bad. It's so bad. Oh. But, yes, got on the island, fought some undead, explored the place, found a nice stream, which, honestly, like, I knew was there, but I was like, you guys didn't need to explore that. I'm like,
it's so weird that is specified in the book.
They have a mentioned like.
I assume it's for if you spend more time there, so you can survive.
Yes, they got some more information.
We kind of don't have to worry about that because cleric, and we have an endless water thing.
I'm going to tell you, honestly, it's just they mentioned that streams were like nearby to the north and to the south. That's it. It's like, so like if you were like looking for sources of water and stuff, they do mention them. The main spring is the one that goes like south and is one used by like people. Definitely. They just mentioned that there is another one. Like, I don't, again, they give some basic information about the island, just some very basic. So I assume that's it. It's just like, if you're doing some more exploring or something, or if we add something else to it, great. I didn't think you guys would like, honestly, Joe rolled really crazy on the perception.
Those are really good rolls, yeah.
Yeah, that was like, I'm like, of course you're going to hear more than just the fucking birds and insects that are all around.
Yeah. Like, once we actually got onto the island, we started rolling really well.
Found the spring. Found an inevitable, which is just like...
That was mostly down to miscommunication.
That was down to miscommunication and me not...
tired.
I was tired by that time, and it was like right at the end of the session, and I honestly knew about the inevitable and like a little bit about the encounter, but I hadn't read that encounter in like weeks, and like I didn't think about how it would work. That honestly, you can get into a fight with the inevitable, but like you can also not. And I was kind of like at the point in time where it was like it was 11:30 at night. I'm like, I don't want to start another goddamn epic combat.
It's the weird thing, and this happens a lot in Pathfinder APs. Why is it there? Like, realistically, looking at this specific AP, why is it there?
I'm gonna say, like, they give an explanation in the world, but I think the question of why is it there is more important than just the explanation they give, because it's sort of like, it doesn't need to be there.
It's more like, if you employee who wrote this story, why did you put a celestial there in a game where most people are gonna be leaning towards evil?
Well, it's true lawful, lawful.
You're not really lawful, and like, what? There are certain things that have come up in this AP and all APs that don't fit into the story, that I don't understand the thought process of why it was put there, other than to be a fight for experience points.
Because the thing is, if you make peaceful contact with it and help it get free, you get the experience for fighting it anyway. You know,
Yeah.
so like theoretically, if I was tracking experience, you folks would have gotten the experience points.
Because most encounters in APs are just experience padding. That's why they don't make a lot of sense.
Yeah. It's the unfortunate thing to try, like, and that's why I do like just being like, this is when they should level up around this time period, and just use that as a level advancement rather than track XP, because honestly, tracking XP is just so...
It's annoying.
It's a lot of numbers and stuff, you know. In games where it's simple XP or you spend XP on certain things, great. In a leveling system, I'd rather not a lot.
Yes, it's just too much math, because the numbers get, like, too high.
But yeah, so there's the inevitable, there's some miscommunications. I think when Cell initially talked to it, there could have been a check then, and I wasn't understanding that because I...
Cell wasn't fully clear on when he was trying to talk to it.
Because the thing is, it talks...
I didn't really understand either.
It talks when you get within a certain distance of the weird heads. You know, that's the thing, is it wants you to back off. But I think also, the language it uses is very weird, too.
No, it's not great language.
And so that's one of those things, is there's a lot of stuff that, like, I think that like, it's... An encounter can be improved, or not maybe improved, it can be streamlined in a good way, and I think that one, I wasn't ready to streamline. You know, like, when you folks went to the... And, like, I was honestly ready more for combat and stuff, for just, you know, keeping it fairly simple for the theater house. Mm-hmm. You put it into a point in time where it evolved that and stuff like that in a very interesting way. And I feel like this was a much harder thing to, like, so it was like, you make... That's why I sort of like... There's a lot of interesting characters that I just don't know what to do with. Like, I don't know what to do with the goddamn, like, weird water nymph. I don't know what to do with the genie. I don't know what to do with this dude here.
Yeah.
You're making outsider friends, and I feel like there should be more than just, you know, they're Jacob's girlfriend for the water chick, you know. Because, again, like...
We could approach them for assistance.
And the same with like, the inevitable, like, the gift they're supposed to give is kind of dumb.
Yeah, because it's a scroll to summon him.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is it's Summon Monster 9, which is a 9th level spell, so you can fail at casting it, so it's just a bad reward.
I don't know about that. It's just so weird.
The reward is a thing you can just fail at doing, because in this AP you don't get that level of spell.
I mean, like, at least they make it very easy that, like, at least the pirates that ambush you, because honestly, you know, I could have had someone look out for them, but you kind of just wandered into camp and no one said they were, like, keeping a lookout or something, and, like, I guess a passive might have noticed them, but they were ready for you, you know, no one was being stealthy, they heard you coming, and I'm like, the information they give me is, like, a DC, like, 10 or 15 check, like, I think it's DC 10 sense mode of, like, checks of, like, hey, these people are in really shit shape. You know, it's very easy to tell sense motive or perception. Like, you know, there are a bunch of people that are like, give us your ship and let us get out of here, you know? You know, you're like, really?
Really, guys?
And then someone just made the diplomacy checks, so it didn't matter. But
really, really high diplomacy check.
Yeah, but now you know what to do to get some information.
We gotta go into or something.
Yeah, there's a weird cove where some undead drag ships they've claimed as their own, and perhaps one of them has a lockbox that is a waterproof lockbox that might have all the personal diaries of this man who used to be the first mate of Harrigan. Maybe has a bunch of his secrets.
Yeah, I feel like it's not going to be a problem, in all honesty.
Just a couple more. Those things aren't too much of a difficulty.
No.
Like,
the big thing is that they explode when they die.
They do explode into poison.
That's kind of the big... Because poison kind of just sucks.
Fortunately, it's only things adjacent to him, but that means all the melee characters that you have a bunch of keep getting hit.
Revia might have something to, like, stop poison, because they're a cleric. Well, kind of the cleric. Half cleric.
There's like, possibility for some other encounters, but I think it's, like, if you somehow don't encounter them on the beach or something, or don't fight them anywhere else, you can have them here. And I'm like, whatever, you fought them once.
Yeah.
I just... They're a slightly interesting enemy, but for, like, multiple battles?
Experience padding.
Yeah. Like, okay, cool, they control this area. You fight them twice and basically break their control. That's fine enough for me. Anything on a Thursday? You have...
I ran one game on Thursday.
Okay.
We had, like, super mega downtime session of Doom and Terror, where party had 3 months of being trapped in town due to horrific winter conditions, because, spoilers, they're in the Arctic. So a bunch of downtime stuff happened. They found a cool rock that can show the past, present, and future. They looked into it, only went insane once.
Ah, only once.
And saw some horrible future world being destroyed. AKA I gave them hints on the setting, which technically ties into someone's backstory. Kind of. More like their quest to learn about the world. But then some plot progress happened. A cool dark elf lady showed up and was like, hey, someone stole something from me. Go get it for me, because my people don't have jurisdiction in these lands because we lost a war against you and you stole them. Yeah, dark elves are, in my setting, dark elves, mostly just, like, are just Cheliks. So they're not great people. They do like summoning demons.
I can't help now, like, dark elves in general have been ruined for me because of watching someone talk about all the factions of 40k and the fucking dark elves from 40k or whatever.
Yeah, they're a thing. The Eldar or whatever.
Dark Eldar. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
God, 40k universe.
40k is a mess.
At least I know a little bit about that.
The only faction I care about is the cyborg people.
There are, like, the orcs are kind of funny, but they're just, like, they fight anything anyway. I mean, they're just, whatever. They're violent. They fight things. Cool. And they have the power of belief to keep their equipment together. And then I think there's this unpopular faction because it's the good faction that's basically just a bunch of people that coalesce together and don't do anything. And I'm like, God, you have, like, all these... Everybody wants to be jackasses. When they play this game.
40k is a pretty shit universe in terms of, like, people.
Anyway, so, hey, anything on a Friday?
I didn't do tabletop stuff, but I played Terraforming Mars for, like, 8 hours.
Ah.
We did a bunch of games of that. I lost, because I'm bad at that game. But we used the Prelude expansion, which is very broken.
Okay.
And we did the 2 new boards. The Prelude expansion is basically like, it adds an extra phase at the beginning of the game where you get to play 2 very overpowered cards that it's supposed to make the game quicker. I don't like it, personally, because, like, one of the cards is just, by the way, you get, like, 50 more starting credits. Enjoy. That's one of the cards you can just get. Which is a little broken. To just have all of the money. Especially because there's a corp that starts with all of the money already. Yeah, I mean, Terraforming Mars is, like, the best board game ever made, so... Nice. The new boards kind of suck. They're... Like, they're fine, but they're not as fun as the normal board, because there's not as much to do on them. There's not as many exclusive tiles for them.
Okay.
Like, on the original board, you have, like, 5 named tiles where only certain things can be placed. On the 2 new boards, you really don't have them.
Okay. Interesting. I guess I'll finish up with my adjacent to this with my... Hey, I played a crap ton more Wrath of Righteous. Honestly. Just as a quick thing. Act 5, it's fine. I did the weird dungeon for the one character that, honestly, if you don't look up the answers to everything or the order you're supposed to go in, it probably sucks. I looked all that stuff up. It was fine. You know, the character Nino's dungeon, which turns out, okay, I think I understand what Nino is. Nino is a kitsune that found its way into Enigma, which is the weird abyssal realm of the demon lord of sphinxes. Where the kitsune then lost its mind in Enigma, as many of the people do there. And so the Demon Lord of Sphinxes put a new mind in the body and sent it back to the material plane, but then it also gained the ability to forget what it was, so it didn't remember it was. But I convinced it that it's like, you can just continue to be Nino, and it's like, oh yeah, I like kind of just doing my research shit, you know, so it's sort of like, I guess I won't be like one of these like weird things. It's kind of boring just thinking of pondering shit for all eternity, you know? Also, it's another Demon Lord I beat the shit out of. I keep doing
Fair
that.
enough.
I like, you know, I killed Descarai, the locust one. Again, not permanently, because you have to kill a Demon Lord twice in a year to get rid of it permanently. Yeah. And those fuckers, like, hide for a year, you know, once you kill them. So that equals 3 I've now killed off and done this too. So if anybody decides to go after Descarai, Bahamut, or the Sphinx one the next year, knock yourself out. They're dead, but they're probably going to be, like, hiding in their little holes, angry about everything, because kick their asses, bitches. Turns out, when you know you're going to fight something, and you also have buffs that last 24 hours, you can use your rounds per level buffs and just murder shit.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I like being 20th level in Mythic Rank 8. I'm going to say that.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's very fun.
It is very cool to be Mythic, but it's kind of a pain in the ass in the actual tabletop game.
Since I finished up all the Crusade stuff, I decided just to start spending my money on my characters, and honestly, that I feel already more powerful after doing that. You know? It's like, oh, I went and bought good gear because the shit you find is okay at best. And the Crusade shit, it was fine. I finished it up. There's, like, nothing left to do. I have an army that has, like, could just murder everything because it's, like, level 15, like, rank 15, because it's got, like, 2,000 archers, and just anything shows up, it dies, you know. I mean, like, I don't know. I'm towards the end of the game. I've probably done at least one of the 2 things I want to do, which is romance the queen, and then, like, I've got the option of... I've set up the option of maybe becoming a god at the end, because that's apparently the secret ending. Spoilers. If you don't look that up, you're not going to figure out what the fuck to do with that one. So, I don't know. It's weird that, like, I'm having more fun with the game now than I did early on, and even, like, more than Act 4. Like, again, like I said, Act 4 on its own would have been fine. It just didn't fit in the game. And resetting the Crusade sucked. I had a lot of money not to spend on anything. You know what I spent it on? Fucking Crusade. Now that I don't have to, I can spend all that money on me. Whatever. Anyway. I think we can get a deeper one of the later deeper discussion topics. How about that? How about a simple one? And I'm going to pick this one up here. And we're going to call creating a play environment. Because you can create that play environment both in real life and online. Both are different in the way they are put together, but they are the exact same thing. It is the environment which you are playing your game, and it is important because it draws everyone in.
Yeah.
In real life, it's the table you're at. You're sitting on, or wherever you're sitting around. Wherever you're around in a group, whether you've got a table in the middle, sometimes you don't have a table in the middle because of your setup, you know. People all around in an area, what is that area you're putting everybody into? What do they have? Do people have what they need to, you know, what kind of lighting, like, what kind of place are you putting up the game in, you know? Yeah. Online, you know, it's how what virtual tabletop you're using. How are you communicating with everybody? I gotta be honest, a voice call, which I've been doing, like, with, which I've done a bunch of games with, like, you know, with people nowadays, it is different than a video call by a lot, you know? And it's a different kind of environment. I feel like fostering a good environment is important to your game because it helps not only everybody with honestly getting into the game.
Mm-hmm.
You connect with it more, but you can also like feel more relaxed. You can feel more connected with your other players. You feel less distracted with a better environment. You know, because distractions, I think, is something we've talked about before.
Yes.
It's a big thing. Like, we've talked about how a game where you're not involved at all, like, honestly, it's easier to get distracted online by a lot.
Yeah, because you're your computer. You got all your shit with you.
Yeah. I mean, like, honestly, it just, it draws you in.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the, again, I think when we talk about some of these things, they're important, but they're also, like, minor things.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like, environment's another one of those ones that's, it's important, but it's also, like, you're not, like, going out of your way to, like, create the perfect environment unless you have a lot of money and you want to do it.
Yeah, money and space, you know, in real life.
Oh, yeah, like, if I'm doing a real-life one, like, right now, I've got to be honest, I don't have a space in my household to host people for this game. It's just the unfortunate thing that there are 5 people in my household, and one of them is a younger child. She takes up a lot of space.
Yep.
I used to be able to use our dining room table. It's been storage for a lot of stuff for like a couple years now. And
sounds about right.
even when it gets cleaned off a little bit, it's still not enough usually to use it for actually eating at.
Yeah, that's kind of what mine's like.
Yeah. Normally it's, you know, if food is served, it's in the kitchen, grab some, and go to wherever you're going. Like, I will go up here and eat in front of the computer, you know?
A place in the house and consume your dinner.
Yeah. But I know, like, Joe with his new house, he's got a nice dining room table that is, like, a good big gaming table. Or, Blaze. If I was to go hang out with Blaze and use Blaze's place, Blaze, I know, has a semi-furnished basement where it's a bunch of... We had, like, a little nook in there that was a bunch of... I mean, there was, like, a table in the middle. Now, granted, you really couldn't use stuff on the table, but if you need to set up a map or, like, hold some stuff, you could put it on there. And a bunch of chairs around it where you can, like, kind of, like, relax, you know, and kind of, like, spread out, do your things. It worked pretty well. Or, like, you know, I know that there are places I could set up at, but the thing is they're out of my control to a degree. Because they're other people's places. Yeah. If I'm using them. Like, something like an expensive gaming table, people have those. They're expensive. They're costly, you know. Some of them aren't super, super expensive. Furniture's expensive.
Furniture is expensive. Good furniture's expensive.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like...
The IKEA furniture's not expensive, but it's not going to last you very long.
It is from IKEA. Even like, but even like something like if you go to like a, not an antique place, but like a refurbished place, you know, or something like that.
Thrift store.
A restorer. Because I know there's one that's like 25 minutes away from us. There's a restorer place like that does that kind of thing. That, you know, it's like, it's towns over, but I know that exists, and I could look there to see if they've got anything like, oh, I'm looking for this. I could go there first to be like, what kind of things do you have available here that you've restored and fixed up and made nice?
A buddy of mine, this was years ago, and I haven't spoken to this person since college, but he had an old like poker table that he got from a thrift store, and we used that for D&D. It was one of those hexagonal poker tables.
Okay.
And it was pretty nice. It was spacious enough.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was a nice table. It wasn't in like a particularly nice, like amazing, cool room. It was in a dining room, basically. Right, like,
you know, good lighting, important, of course. So like just a dining room, that's good. You know, any kind of place that has a decent enough area that you can see anything. Again, there's other things that people do. Like people do like you know, mood music in general.
A buddy of mine who runs his online game, he does music. He puts music on through a music bot through Discord. It does set the mood. I personally, when I was in his game, never used it because I listen to my own music typically.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely like something you can do to set the mood a bit.
I've gotten used to the fact that like I used to try to do music and stuff, but like I like to just have like nowadays I keep it simple. I have like a soundtrack of the show, you know, and so I've got like, you know, that for Buccaneers has its soundtrack that, you know, kind of plays in the background, so there's a little bit of like background noise going on.
Yeah.
When I'm doing my intro, I've got some like I found some like bar-ish noises that I kind of also play with it, you know, and so like these things add to the entire environment, and I can have them, but I can't really like give them to everybody. Like,
No, that's more of a show thing. Like, to set up an actual music bot is kind of a pain because you need to have like a Spotify.
I know Roll20 has a music thing too.
Roll20 has a jukebox, but it's terrible.
Will, a friend of the show, was trying to use that for one of their games for a while, and it worked okay. It wasn't great.
If you use Foundry, it has an amazing thing for music. Foundry is like straight up one of the best virtual tabletops, but it costs like it's a one-time purchase of a decent amount of money.
So sort of like music, like again, like lighting works in person, but you can have the same idea if you're doing video. You want everybody to be bright and be able to see them and stuff, you know. It's again same thing. Also, like if you're just doing audio, you want everybody to be crisp and understood. Like, I do have to say, like sometimes like communication can break down with that. You know, it's sort of like, but I know people are busy or life or have like stuff. You know, sometimes during Worms games, some of the people like they have life stuff they're doing, and so they have to like mute and just like type in stuff, and I'm like that. It does detract a little bit from the communications and stuff, but you need to do that, unfortunately, like sometimes when you're trying to adapt to a game, you have busy life. So
sometimes I have to get up and do shit during Buccaneers, but it's not that often.
You know, and, you know, you almost think of, like, the virtual tabletop is the table in the middle that we have for everybody. So, like, I think that's also one of the things is I've been better at least having something there rather than it being just an empty map, you know. At very least, like I really set up a lot for like Legacies of Kain, but I still had, I remember, because they met that one little weird South American possum, I just had a picture of that South American possum like up there the entire time.
I know for the game I run, I just have my world map up for you to look at.
That helps.
Which is unfortunate because there's a spelling mistake on it, and I haven't fixed it yet. I spelled Sanctuary wrong because I'm a dumbass. And I'm like, I don't want to open up this program and fix a fucking letter. Just deal with it. That's how it's spelled in this world. Cry about it.
I mean, like, just think about, like, I've got, at very least, if Alice fails, I can throw the Shackles map up for Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Now, Buccaneers, I'm using something that is, like, I'm adapting something that's published, so they give me a lot of stuff. I can go into the PDF, and I can clip out images from that PDF and upload it to Roll20 to use those maps very quickly and efficiently. Granted, it requires a little finagling to get them the right size, because God, there's at least they're supposed to be like 5-foot squares mostly, but the standardization is just awful on a lot of these maps. And trying to like fit them in on here on a grid is just like a nightmare for a while. Just finagling it. But you know, that's setting up like a mat on a table with like grid. You do the same thing too, you know. And there's like actual maps people could use. There are tiles that people could use. There's a lot of stuff for setting up in a physical environment if you need that. The dice you roll, the character sheets. These are all like important things. Like, you know, what character sheet you're using. Roll20, that matters. Honestly, real life it matters too.
Yes.
There are third-party sheets that, like, honestly, like for physical Pathfinder, firsty, I like better than the standard one they give from Paizo. Paizo is fine, but it's not great.
Yeah. The sheet when I did physical games that's been like years at this point. We used a sheet that we had found that was specifically good for people with dyslexia. It was really nice because a lot of people I'm friends with do actually suffer from that. Because it is a pretty common disorder.
I think of all the sheets, just I think the 5e sheet is pretty good physically, but it's like I feel like it needs a second page that they never have.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
I I hate playing spellcasters in physical games because there's never enough space.
Yes. Or people that, oh my god. It was playing, I'm going to tell you now, playing a game where we got to like 20th level, Mythic rank 10 by the end.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That the Mythic weird Fallout Pathfinder game we did. Having to keep track of the 27 billion different like weird buffs and abilities I could use, and sometimes you can't use them all at once to keep track of your numbers. So you have to set up like, this is me if I'm power attacking, this is me if I'm not power attacking, this is me if I'm using these buffs, this is me if I'm using these buffs.
I think by the end of Wrath of the Righteous, I had like 10 character sheets because I was a buff player.
Just having all those set up can be just such a bitch in real life.
I felt so bad for the person in that game who was playing a druid summoning character because he just had so many fucking summon character sheets.
God, I could not be a summoner except for just having your Eidolon in physical life.
I you know, doing it physical sounds horrendous.
The person I knew that played one, you know what they did? They only used their Eidolon.
Yeah.
Because they, everyone else that has ever looked at summoning has done it like once and then decided, you know what? No.
Yeah.
Or just choose one thing per difficulty level.
Yeah, Lightning says, I don't think I'd ever play an in-person D&D game with physical sheets. Yeah, me neither. I don't think I'd do that again. I think I'd just be like, here's a roll 20. These are where our sheets are kept. Because it's easier.
Yeah.
Or like, that is why D&D Beyond is really good. Because it's mostly a character sheet builder.
It's the weird thing that, like, D&D Beyond is pretty good at what it does, and it's just unfortunate that...
It actually is a virtual table. Most people don't actually know this. It is a virtual tabletop.
So... yeah. But, Yep. It's an interesting thing. It always sounds different, like, because we've talked about doing in-person versus virtual, but, like, both of them definitely come down to something very similar in the vein of, especially when we talk, like, the environment. You will build an environment that your game will be at. And you just have to recognize there are various different aspects to that environment that are important to keep in mind. They will be important to have because they help draw on your characters and your players and, create the way it is. Maps, tabletops, all that stuff, it's meant for immersion. And, you don't need it. But it helps because it helps you, because you don't have to do as much to grab that immersion, I think is what it is. Or to grab people together. If everybody's facing each other in some way, like, again, like, as I said, it's nice, it's pretty easy to be on like, just voice call. But when you physically see people, it connects them a lot more, definitely. Yeah. And then that helps. Environment's important. Keep in mind when you're building your games and stuff. Not just the environment in the game, the environment outside the game, what you build. Reflect on that and make a plan that works for you. I guess that's the best way to say it. Yes. Honestly, I'd pay a physical in-person game again, probably, but I do not know. Depending on what it would be, depends on if I would use a character sheet or not. That's what I think I would say.
Yeah, I mean, all of my friends live on the other side of the state. So I'm just like, well, guess not doing physical games anytime soon.
it's like it's the unfortunate thing that's like it's really difficult to grab. Like, I can hang out with Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Grabbing Joe physically is so difficult because hang out with Joe is, hey, he's done work at 9 o'clock. I can log on to the computer and check in with him Discord. I don't have to drive a half an hour. You wouldn't have to drive a half an hour. After getting dinner, then stay up even later. It's just not physical on a weekday. And then in the weekend, not easy either. Like, Joe gets free on a Saturday night. It's usually late after he's done a lot of stuff because he's had to be busy. So, hey, you can hang out online.
The glory of adulthood. Enjoy your childhood while you have it, chat.
Yeah.
You have to be busy all the time.
Even like I, who am less busy, have schedules for stuff and to do things, and I have to worry about fitting it in.
Like for me, it's like I'm free in the evenings a lot, but I usually have to be in bed by like 10 o'clock because I wake up early for work usually.
Yeah. Just the unfortunate thing when you have to like get up in the morning. Like I try to get up. I try to maintain because like even this week there was a time where like I wasn't. There was 2 times. One where I was needed to take my niece out, so I had to be up, and the other time where like I didn't need to be up, but my niece was like, "Hey, you're awake. I want you to take me out." And I'm like, "Do I need to? Is your grandfather around and awake?" And she's like, "No, I want you." And I'm like, "Why? I just do."
You've been chosen.
I'm gonna tell you.
I mean, it's sweet in a way, I guess. But yeah. So. I'm awake at like 5 a.m. every day, unless it's my day off. Because either I have to get ready for work, or my dog is so used to me being up at 5 a.m., he gets up at 5 a.m. and demands breakfast.
A chosen one! Look, honestly, I'm going to tell you, taking her out to the bus is not difficult. It just was a jerk move, I think, by her. Because, like, we've reached the point in time, we don't have to escort her. We walk out and just make sure nothing bad happens because there are some slightly older kids that are kind of jerks in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
So it's like keep an eye out on things, Also, honestly, I don't think we can trust her to not keep an eye out. So it's just sit on a porch while she wanders off. Okay, you're at the bus stop across the street. Great. Okay, I'm not really needed here, but I am kind of. But anyway. There's play environment. Anything else to talk about? I think that's it. Talked about our week in gaming. I think that's it for today.
Sounds like it.
I will be doing more finishing stuff this week. Hey, January is the month that I finish some games up.
Oh shit!
So I'll be finishing. I'm hopefully finishing up Pathfinder: Wrath of Righteous soon. I am quite okay. I don't think I'm going to be doing the serial killer's mission because apparently you can win her over enough to have her not kill everybody in the mansion that she was born at, but also, like, if you let her do it, it just reinforces it so her ending is more serial killing. Which means I really don't want to have that because I don't think she has a good ending. I'm gonna say. At all. And I would just kill her if I go there right now. I tried, and then I reloaded. And I'm right before, apparently, I guess, I'm about to get to, like, Act 6, which is, like, the super finale, but there's, like, nothing left for me to do other than do Act 6. So, yeah. I'm pretty done that. Gonna do more Parasite Eve. I've been, going through and doing 10 floors at a time in the Chrysler building, because, honestly, that doesn't take too long, and it lets my brain not melt away doing that for goddamn who knows how long. Hey, we're at floor 30 out of 70 I have to get through before it's easy.
Yep.
So only a couple more sessions of that. And I will hopefully just at least... I don't know what I'm going to do to get back to Final Fantasy 12. I do want to get back to that to finish that up at least. And then maybe take a break for a while from some Final Fantasies. I don't know how long. But I do want to finish more of the series that I own now. Just, some point. That's kind of the schedule right now. So, more Parasite Eve, more Wrath of Righteous. Buccaneers is on schedule. This show should be good next week. And I think that's it. Momo, do you have anything to shout out or mention?
Nope.
I will not play Final Fantasy 14 as much as it's probably decent because I'm just not an MMO fan.
It's a pretty good game. However, it is like a 600 to 700 hour investment.
I am barely willing to invest like 100
That's
hours.
just for the main story. There's way more side content.
Look, I have invested way more time than I've wanted in Wrath of Righteous, but again, like I've been at least trying to finish all the missions.
It's a long game.
I've reached the point in time where I've reached level 20. I keep getting experience points. I don't need them. There is possibility for higher levels if you took like the legend path, I guess, if you choose to like revoke your powers and then you can get like level 40 or something, which seems neat, but also honestly mythic powers are really good.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, so it's like not really worth it. Unless you do, it's not really worth it. Also, like, I have no idea what to put as a second class for these people. You know, like, I'm a level 20 witch. What the fuck would I be? I don't know. Anyway, what else do I have? I think that's it. Honestly, if something else comes up, I'll figure it out, put it on the schedule for now. I think that's it. I guess if anybody cares, what are we at? Final act of Divinity? Honestly?
I don't know, is there like an act after Act 4?
Yeah, it's been really fun to get to that. And actually finish that game.
I mean, it's been a little bit of a rough time at some point.
Some of the battles have been rough.
I get. So what you thought was the Kraken fight is the type of fight I absolutely hate in video games.
I can see
where
that.
It's a gimmick fight where they put you up against something that's way too high level. But it's okay because it's a gimmick and you can end it early. But the gimmick's not clear, and I just looked it up because I don't like dealing with it. I also got removed from... No. Well, you can, but like it's level 20, you're level 17. It's got like 10,000 health.
Yeah. I mean,
it's one of those things like it's not worth it. And it also spawns level 20 enemies every 4 turns.
Yeah, that thing was nasty and just kind of annoying. It would just be a slog fest trying to get that thing.
That's the kind of fight I hate, is the gimmick fights. And unfortunately, there's been several of those.
There have been several gimmick fights and just several like...
I did like the fight at the Source Well. Whatever I did, that was really cool. At the end of Act 3, that was a cool fight. Though the lava was dumb.
The lava was dumb. I think it's just sometimes some of the stuff just kind of annoys me because it's sort of like, honestly, elevation fucks you so much.
Yes, like, oh my god, we have, anytime there's a small staircase, it like halves your range.
It's a staircase.
It could be like 3 steps and it just tanks your range for some reason.
Or makes you be able to under-target things or something. Yeah. It just messes up stuff so much, and it was just like, what is going on here?
There's so many weird issues with the geometry.
Yeah, I've been screwed a couple of times by the geometry.
Yeah, the lightning's whip seems like it should be up and down, but it's only a line. I know when I was playing the Wayfarer class, quote unquote, there were a lot of times where just some random bit of geometry would half my range for some reason. It's been so much more fun to play the Rogue or Scoundrel or whatever the hell it's called.
There have been some targeting issues I've hit in weird points in time where it's like hard to target stuff, or like you click on one something and it clicks on the other.
Yeah. I've had issues where I have had 100% chance to hit, targeted a person directly, and it's landed like a tile in front of them for some reason.
I try to use powers and stuff, and sometimes it just doesn't affect things, and I'm like, why didn't it? The combat had already started. It wasn't like I was doing it before the combat. It actually seemed like it hit it. Did I hit next to it or something? Did I somehow not target it? What's going on here? Ugh.
Yeah, I would say Destiny 2 has been pretty fun. Overall, I think Act 3 was kind of boring, but Act 2 dragged on for way too long.
Yeah, Act 3 was just sort of there.
Act 3 was mostly forgettable. Act 4 seems interesting so far. I do know it's the Uppsala Deathfog zone.
We have to help a squirrel fight the Great Acorn.
That squirrel's gonna die.
He is probably going to die.
He's gonna run into Deathfog.
He really is.
Die.
But it's gonna be hilarious that we're... Look, you know what I could do? I could get in conversation with the squirrel while our Skelly Man runs through Deathfog.
Yeah.
Because our Skelly Man's immune to Deathfog.
Yep.
Honestly, like, yeah, like the God Quest stuff was kind of weird, and fighting ourselves. That was interesting, at least.
I thought that fight was cool. Although it was amusing that there were 2 relics.
It was 2
Because
rounds.
we had 2 humans, and you technically don't have a god. You got your demon that's inside of you.
Yeah. But I talked to a demon hunter, and he's might go show up again or something, because I remember to talk to him.
Well, I would say he's on the boat, but the boat crashed.
He left the boat and was in the area of the Pilgrims, and I was saying that I found him and I talked to him. I think people missed that because it was right before the Kraken, maybe?
Yes, the dumbass Kraken.
So I was, like, talking to him, and he's like, I'm going to go hunt some more demons and shit. And I'm like, good luck to you. I guess. I don't know if I'm helping or not. I don't understand. I guess maybe I will. We'll meet again.
Probably end up helping.
Yeah.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of demons we have to kill or something. We still have to kill that one demon. We still have to find him.
We got a lot of stuff to kill. Look, honestly.
There's this child we have to help.
Yeah, ghost child whose name we don't know yet or something, and I don't know. A lot more horrible things. Anyway, so yeah, that's where we're kind of at, I think, with that game. That's fun. Which is our off-stream role-playing adjacent game.
It's been fun to actually play it.
I would have loved to have one day finished on stream, but like I feel like it was much better this case to just I wanted to finish it more than I wanted to like have it as the content.
Feels better to do it off stream.
There's a lot in that game which can definitely be not great too. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of frustration, especially when you do a fight and you get frozen 3 turns in a row, and then you just get up from your computer and go do something else.
Or when like you instantly get targeted by everything and they just nuke you, and then you're just like, well, I'm dead and I can't do anything about that. And like, you know, even if you get resurrected, like somehow everything still just nukes you instantaneously, and it's just like, well, fuck me.
The game has some problems. Story's pretty good though.
Yeah, the story's pretty decent. Everybody sucks though.
Everyone does suck.
It's a pretty terrible world. Anyway, I think that's it for today. So, yeah, if there's anything else up on the schedule, I'll let people know. Otherwise, I just have not uploaded. I've edited something. I'm going to get stuff back up onto YouTube. If I talked about it earlier this week, I hadn't been uploading basically just because I had to fuck around with some like memory stuff. I was running out of space to process new stuff. I made some space and moved things around, so there is now ability to edit stuff, because those take up a lot of space when I do it. Like, you know, if I edit an episode of Buccaneers, you know, it changes to, when I get to YouTube format, it's like 8 gigs, and that takes up a lot, you know. That builds up very quickly. And it's not convenient to do one at a time, I will tell you, especially if you want to watch and make sure that if someone tells you, hey, there's an edit error with it that I've got to re-upload it, hey, I don't want to re-edit it because editing it takes a couple of hours usually for it to render. So if I only need to re-render it once and don't have to do it a second time, great. If I do have to re-render it a second time, well, like, I'll worry about that then. But that re-upload could be a problem with the video. It could also be a problem with fucking YouTube sometimes.
Yeah. YouTube's just bad.
Anyway, so I'll get some more stuff back on YouTube. It has been a few weeks since I uploaded anything just because of problems like that. And that's it. So, thank you for joining. Thank you for hanging out, Momo.
Yeah.
Thank you for everybody that popped into chat. And I'll be back probably at least on Monday. Momo, you'll be joining me on Wednesday, most likely.
Correct.
we'll be back to regular schedule this week. If anything else comes up, I'll let people know on Discord and Twitter. So until there's times that these things may occur, I bid everyone a farewell and goodbye.
Bye.
My chair shrunk down a little bit. Am I just, like, slouching? I don't know. One of those. Bye!